When the Merovian Empire destroys a peaceful human research station, they discover that humanity's apparent technological inferiority was an elaborate deception spanning centuries. Earth unveils Project Ouroboros, revealing advanced weaponry and ships that defy known physics, teaching the galaxy a lesson about underestimating human ingenuity and determination. Research Station Helios blazed against the dark canvas of space, but not from its usual golden solar collection arrays. The Merovian warships had struck without warning, their prismatic cannons transforming the station's revolutionary quantum laboratories into miniature suns. Dr. Esther Green watched from the hidden observation post beneath Europa's ice, her fingers flying across haptic controls as she archived every second of the massacre. "They're targeting the civilian quarters," her AI assistant noted with artificial calm. Merovian attack pattern suggests they believe this is merely a research facility. Esther's laugh held no humor. After 15 years as chief of special projects at Helios, she'd prepared for this moment, but the reality still made her hands shake. 300 researchers and their families had called Helios home. 300 brilliant minds who'd willingly played their part in humanity's greatest deception. "Initiate Protocol Omega," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tears freezing on her cheeks. "And make sure every sensor in the system records what happens next." The Merovian flagship, a crystalline dagger 4 kilometers long, moved into position for the killing blow. Their intelligence suggested this station housed humanity's most advanced quantum research. Destroying it would set the upstart species back decades. They were right about one thing. Helios did house humanity's most advanced quantum research. They were catastrophically wrong about everything else. "Quantum signature detected," the Merovian tactical officer reported. "Their core is going critical. Preparing to." His voice died as new readings flooded his console. "Captain, these readings, this is impossible." Beneath the disintegrating shell of Research Station Helios, something was awakening. The quantum fluctuations weren't from a dying core, they were from a birth. Station Director Green watched through quantum-linked cameras as her life's work revealed itself. The facade of Helios peeled away like a chrysalis, revealing the weapon beneath. Not a station at all, but a quantum nexus point. A technological singularity wrapped in a shell of mundane research and civilian life. "Send the message," she commanded. Across every Merovian frequency, in their own crystalline language, 3 words appeared: "Thank you. Watch carefully." The quantum nexus point collapsed in on itself, forming what appeared to be a singularity. The Merovian ships reacted instantly, bringing up their highest-grade shields. But they weren't protecting against the right thing. The singularity exploded outward, not with destructive force, but with information. Petabytes of data crashed through their neural networks, overwhelming their quantum crystalline processors. In those fractions of a second, every secret of their supposed technological superiority was laid bare, analyzed, and improved upon. "Signal sent to Earth Defense Command," the AI reported. "Project Ouroboros is awakening." Esther closed her eyes, remembering all the brilliant minds who'd sacrificed themselves today. They'd known this was always a possibility. Helios wasn't just a research station, it was bait, and the Merovians had taken it perfectly. "Your people murdered innocent civilians today," she broadcast to the Merovian fleet. "But they didn't die for nothing. They died to prove what we've suspected for decades, that you are exactly the kind of threat we've been preparing for." The Merovian ships were already turning to leave, their mission apparently accomplished. They didn't bother scanning for survivors or hidden facilities. Why would they? Their intelligence said humans couldn't possibly survive in Europa's subsurface ocean. Their intelligence was wrong about that too. "Message from Admiral Drake," the AI announced. "Project Ouroboros assets are mobilizing. The Lazarus Protocol has been initiated." Esther allowed herself a grim smile. The Merovians thought they'd struck a meaningful blow against humanity's technological development. Instead, they'd just given Earth's military the justification it had waited centuries for. The dragons were stirring. The Merovian border station Crystalline Watch hung in space like an elaborate chandelier, its quantum crystalline architecture refracting starlight into rainbow cascades. Captain Marcus Wong studied it through sensors that shouldn't exist, his neural interface feeding him data that would make Merovian scientists weep. Basilisk 1 is in position. His XO reported through their quantum-linked consciousness. No verbal communications needed. Another technology humanity had kept hidden. The Hydra network has mapped every vulnerability in their systems. Wong allowed himself a small smile. After 20 years commanding an obsolete patrol vessel along the frontier, pretending to be impressed by basic Merovian technology, this moment felt like taking off a mask he'd worn too long. "Begin the demonstration," he commanded. The Basilisk-class destroyer, Shadow of Earth, shed its quantum camouflage like liquid mercury running off glass. The vessel's true form would haunt Merovian nightmares for generations. 3 kilometers of darkness that seemed to drink in light itself. Its hull geometries impossible to track as they shifted through dimensions that shouldn't exist. On crystalline watch, alarms screamed as their sensors finally detected the human vessel. Too late. The Hydra network had already infiltrated their quantum crystalline computers, using vulnerabilities humanity had discovered centuries ago. "Impossible," the Merovian commander broadcast. "Your species doesn't have this technology. You are still using basic quantum." "We let you think that," Wong interrupted, his ship's AI translating in real time. "Just like we let you think your quantum crystalline technology was advanced. Would you like to know what we really think of it?" The Shadow of Earth's primary weapon array activated. Not the crude plasma cannons the galaxy thought humans used, but something far more sophisticated, quantum phase disruptors that didn't so much destroy their targets as temporarily rewrite the laws of physics in their vicinity. A pulse of darkness, not energy, but its absence, reached out from Wong's ship. Where it touched the station's crystalline structure, reality simplified itself. Quantum bonds that held the crystal matrix together forgot they were supposed to exist. The station didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It simply ceased to be what it was, its complex structure reducing itself to base elements with mathematical precision. 3,000 Merovian personnel watched in horror as their impregnable fortress transformed into an elegant cloud of component atoms. Signal sent to all Merovian command frequencies, Wong's XO reported. Quantum burst transmission complete. Every Merovian military installation within 100 light-years just received full sensor data of what happened here. Wong nodded, remembering the carefully crafted message Admiral Drake had prepared for this moment. "Let them see what we can do. Let them understand that every technological exchange, every trade agreement, every time we asked for their help, we were studying them, learning their weaknesses, preparing." The Shadow of Earth's quantum drive engaged, not the crude jump engines the Merovians thought humans used, but something that made their fastest ships look like they were standing still. Space itself seemed to fold around the vessel, reality parting like a curtain. "Send the final message," Wong commanded, across every Merovian frequency, in their crystalline language. The words appeared. This was one ship. One weapon. "Would you like to see what our full fleet can do?" As the Shadow of Earth vanished into quantum space, Wong allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The dragons weren't just awake, they were hungry for justice. In the crystalline spires of the Merovian High Command, Grand Strategist Vextal stared at the quantum displays with all 4 of his eyes, each set focused on a different data stream. The destruction of Crystalline Watch played again and again, each viewing revealing new impossibilities. "This can't be accurate," First Speaker Ixel whispered, her crystalline form vibrating with distress. "Their quantum manipulation violates fundamental laws of reality." "No," Vextal corrected, his outer eyes still analyzing tactical data while his inner pair studied centuries of human technological development. "It violates what we thought were the fundamental laws of reality." The chamber's quantum crystal walls projected a timeline of human advancement, or what the Merovians had believed was advancement. Each technological exchange, each request for assistance, each seemingly primitive human achievement now appeared in a terrifying new light. 240 years ago, Vextal noted, highlighting a particular exchange, "They asked us for help understanding basic quantum field theory. We gave them outdated texts, thinking we were being generous while maintaining our advantage." He laughed bitterly. "They asked such specific questions about our quantum crystalline computing. We thought they were struggling to grasp the basics. They were mapping our vulnerabilities," Ixel realized, her crystalline form darkening with horror. "Every question, every exchange. They were studying us like specimens." Grand Admiral Zexmore interjected, his war form glittering with angry pulses of light. "But why maintain such a deception? Why play weak for centuries?" A new alert flashed across the quantum displays. Another human vessel had appeared, this one near the Merovian colony of New Crystal. The readings were even more impossible than the first, because, a new voice said, as a hologram materialized in the center of the chamber, "We remembered our history. Admiral Helena Drake's projection stood before them, as solid as if she were physically present. The quantum technology required for such a transmission shouldn't have been possible at this distance. In human history, Drake continued, whenever a technologically superior civilization encountered a less advanced one, the results were predictable: conquest, subjugation, destruction. Her smile was razor-sharp. So, when we detected your signals, when we realized we weren't alone, we made a choice. We would advance in secret, showing you only what we wanted you to see. Impossible, Zexmore sputtered. We've monitored your development for centuries. Your shipyards, your colonies, are exactly what we wanted you to see, Drake finished. Those primitive shipyards building obsolete vessels, decoys, those vulnerable colonies, facade installations hiding quantum forges that would make your best engineers weep. Every time you thought you were helping us catch up, you were helping us perfect our masquerade. The quantum displays erupted with new alerts. Human ships were appearing across Merovian space, each one demonstrating technologies that shouldn't exist for another 1,000 years of development. Your entire species, Vextal breathed. Every human colony, every shipyard. A performance, Drake confirmed. The greatest deception in galactic history. We showed you what you expected to see. Another young race, technically primitive, eager to learn. You never questioned why we accepted your outdated drive systems. Never wondered why we showed such interest in your advanced weapons. The hologram stepped forward, and the air itself seemed to ripple. But then you attacked Research Station Helios. You murdered 300 innocent people to, what was it? Keep the humans in their place? Her expression hardened. Congratulations. You just gave us exactly what we've been waiting for, justification. The quantum displays showed more human ships emerging from supposedly impossible dimensions. Each one larger than the last, each one wielding weapons that treated the laws of physics as polite suggestions rather than absolute rules. We could have been allies, Drake said softly. Partners. Instead, you chose to be an object lesson. She gestured, and every quantum crystal in the chamber resonated with her next words. The dragons aren't just awake now. They're coming to show you exactly what humanity has become while you thought we were playing catch-up. As the hologram faded, Vextal looked at his fellow leaders and saw his own realization mirrored in their crystalline faces. They hadn't discovered humanity. Humanity had discovered them, and they had just failed the test spectacularly. The Merovian defense fleet above New Crystal numbered 5,000 ships, the largest armada ever assembled in known space. Admiral Helena Drake watched them through quantum sensors aboard her flagship, Prometheus Unbound, and felt almost sympathetic. They still didn't understand what they were facing. All Basilisk squadrons report ready. Captain Wong transmitted through the fleet's quantum neural network. Hydra infiltration of their command and control systems is complete. They just don't know it yet. Drake accessed the tactical overlay through her neural interface. The Merovian ships hung in perfect crystalline formation, their quantum crystal hulls refracting starlight in ways that would have been beautiful if they weren't about to become a demonstration. Begin Phase 1, she commanded. Show them what humanity has been hiding all these centuries. Across the battlefield, reality rippled. The human fleet didn't emerge from quantum space. They had been there all along, their quantum phase technology rendering them not just invisible, but functionally non-existent until this moment. 3,000 ships of impossible configurations materialized simultaneously, their hulls seeming to drink in light itself. The Merovian fleet reacted instantly, bringing their quantum crystal shields to full power. Their tactical computers calculated firing solutions based on known human capabilities. But humanity's true capabilities had never been known. Initiate the Hydra Protocol, Drake ordered. Through vulnerabilities humanity had spent centuries mapping, quantum code flowed into Merovian systems. Their crystalline computers, which they believed unhackable, began to sing with new information. Not to destroy, that would have been too simple. Instead, the Hydra Protocol rewrote their tactical reality. Merovian sensors suddenly reported human ships in impossible positions. Weapons that shouldn't exist, targeted vulnerabilities that hadn't been vulnerable until this moment. The crystalline formation, perfect in its geometry, became a liability as ships received contradictory information about friend and foe. They're trying to coordinate a response, Wong reported, a hint of admiration in his neural transmission. Switching to backup systems, attempting to isolate compromised units. Drake allowed herself a small smile. Execute Phase 2. Let's show them why we named these ships after mythological creatures. The Basilisk-class destroyers moved first, their quantum drives bending space in ways that made Merovian physics officers weep. They didn't fly through space, they rewrote it, creating corridors of altered reality through which they slipped like shadows through darkness. Behind them came the Hydra-class battlecruisers, their multiple weapon arrays firing simultaneously through quantum-shifted space. Each shot seemed to exist in multiple realities at once, bypassing shields that couldn't defend against something that attacked from several dimensions simultaneously. Enemy flagship is attempting to coordinate a retreat, Wang announced. They're beginning to understand. No, Drake corrected. They're beginning to fear. Understanding comes next. Launch the Chimeras. From the belly of Prometheus Unbound, a new class of vessel emerged. The Chimera-class carriers were humanity's masterpiece. Ships that contained quantum forges capable of manufacturing new vessels mid-battle. As the Merovians watched in horror, each carrier began producing squadrons of autonomous combat units, each one adapted in real time to exploit weaknesses in Merovian defenses. The battle became a dance of impossibilities. Human ships phased through solid matter, their quantum drives letting them treat space itself as a suggestion rather than a law. When Merovian vessels fired, their targets simply ceased to exist in that region of space-time, reappearing where they could do the most damage. Their admiral is requesting communication, Wang reported. Drake opened the channel, allowing her hologram to appear in the Merovian flagship's command center. You were wondering how we achieved all this, she said without preamble. How we hid it for so long. The Merovian admiral, his crystalline form clouded with fear, managed to respond. Your technology, it's impossible. We monitored your development. No, Drake corrected. You monitored our performance. Every breakthrough you saw, every advancement you helped us achieve, was carefully calculated to maintain our deception. We needed you to believe we were centuries behind you. Around them, the battle continued its one-sided execution. Human ships demonstrated technologies that the Merovians couldn't even classify, let alone counter. Each engagement revealed new impossibilities, new demonstrations of just how thoroughly humanity had surpassed them while pretending to be their students. Your entire fleet, Drake continued. Every weapon, every defense, every tactic, we designed counters for them centuries ago. While you thought you were helping primitive humans catch up, we were perfecting ways to turn your own technology against you. The Merovian admiral watched as another wing of his fleet disappeared, their quantum crystal hulls transformed into their component atoms by weapons that rewrote the laws of physics locally. Why? He asked finally. Why maintain such a deception? Drake's hologram smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Because now you understand completely. You didn't just attack a human research station. You attacked a species that has spent centuries preparing for this exact moment. She gestured, and the Chimera carriers began producing another wave of autonomous units. And now, you get to experience everything we've been holding back. The Merovian homeworld, Crystal Prime, hung in space like a fractured diamond, its crystalline cities reflecting the light of 3 suns. Above it, the combined might of humanity's true fleet had gathered, not in threat, but in demonstration. 5,000 vessels of impossible configurations, each one representing centuries of hidden advancement. Dr. Esther Green stood on the bridge of Prometheus Unbound beside Admiral Drake, watching the quantum displays show real-time simulations of what their weapons could do to the crystalline planet below. The calculations were precise, methodical, and utterly terrifying. Their entire civilization, Green said softly. We could unmake it all with a single command. Drake nodded, her eyes on the holographic representations of the Merovian High Command assembled before them. But we won't. Because that's the real difference between us. Not technology, not military might, but wisdom. The Merovian leaders, their crystalline forms dulled with fear and shame, waited for humanity's judgment. Grand Strategist Vextal stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of his species' future. We submit ourselves to human authority, he announced formally. Our military, our technology, our worlds, all are yours to command or destroy. Drake's smile was gentle, surprising everyone present. No, she said simply. That's not what this demonstration was about. With a gesture, she activated the quantum displays, showing not weapons of war, but something else entirely. Plans for new technologies, advances in medicine, environmental restoration. quantum engineering that could transform worlds. We didn't spend centuries hiding our true capabilities just to become conquerors, Drake explained. We did it to understand who our neighbors really were, what you would do with perceived power over a lesser species. Green stepped forward, addressing the Merovian leaders directly. The attack on Helios Station was a tragedy, but it was also a final test. You failed that test, yes, but now comes something more important. Learning from that failure. The quantum displays shifted again, showing new configurations of human ships. The weapon systems were powering down, being replaced by different arrays. Technology that could heal rather than harm. We're not here to destroy or subjugate, Drake continued. We're here to offer a choice. The weapons we've shown you, the technologies that seem impossible, they're not even our most advanced capabilities. They're just what we chose to reveal. The Merovian leaders stared in shock as new data flowed through their quantum networks. Not military secrets this time, but scientific insights that made their most advanced theories look primitive. Your entire species needs to understand something, Green said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human preparation. We could have revealed ourselves at any time, could have dominated, conquered, destroyed. Instead, we waited, watched, and hoped you would prove worthy of partnership rather than subjugation. Drake nodded to her tactical officer, and across the vast human fleet, something remarkable happened. The ships began to transform, their quantum phase technology allowing them to reconfigure in real time. Weapons became research arrays, military vessels turned into exploration ships. This is humanity's true face, Drake announced. Not just our capacity for war, but our dedication to progress. We can help you advance centuries beyond your current capabilities. We can teach you to understand the universe in ways your science hasn't dreamed of. Or, Vextal asked, his crystalline form shimmering with a mix of fear and hope. Or, we can leave you to develop on your own, under observation, until you learn the wisdom to match your ambition. The choice hung in space between them, as heavy as a gravity well. The Merovian leaders conferred briefly, their crystalline forms resonating with rapid communication. Finally, Vextal spoke again, but this time with understanding rather than fear. We choose to learn, he said simply. Not just technology, but wisdom. We choose partnership. Drake's smile was genuine this time. Then let us show you what humanity has really been working on all these centuries. She gestured, and new ships began emerging from quantum space. Vast exploration vessels, research stations, diplomatic craft of configurations that defied comprehension. The dragons, Green concluded, were never just about war. They were about potential. The potential for destruction, yes. But more importantly, the potential for creation, for transformation, for growth. As the combined fleets of two civilizations began their first true collaboration, Admiral Drake made one final log entry. Operation Dragon's Wake. Final phase complete. Humanity's greatest deception ends not in fire, but in enlightenment. The dragons are awake, and they choose to create rather than destroy. Let the galaxy learn this lesson well. Humanity's greatest strength isn't in having the sharpest teeth, but in knowing when to show mercy instead of might.